like a fucking joke.
I want to make
Wait.
college debt-free.
Yeah, I can take the first, third, and then dip off the fourth, and that's the whole fight. Like what?
Tuition bill from a public college or university.
If I was on the boss, I could take basically every single one. You wouldn't even need to like toss swap.
Well, I don't. I'm guessing it wouldn't reset the stacks. Maybe Bubble would. I'm not sure if it immunes it if you'd still get stacks.
Last years since the Great Recession have gone to the very top. So we are going to have the.
Well, I could at least take 3 then, because I mean I can cool down the first one, take 2, and then somebody would take a 4th one.
Easy.
That is a plan that has been analyzed by independent experts, which said that it could produce 10 million
That's kind of
jobs.
dumb.
By contrast, Donald's plan has been analyzed to conclude it might lose 3.5 million jobs. Why? Because his whole plan is to cut taxes, to give the biggest tax breaks ever to the wealthy and to corporations, adding $20 trillion to our debt and causing the kind of dislocation that we have seen before, because it truly will be trickle-down economics on steroids. So the plan I have, I think, will actually produce greater opportunities. The plan he has will cost us jobs and possibly lead to another Great Recession.
Secretary, thank you. Mr. Trump, why will your plan create more jobs and growth than Secretary Clinton?
Well, first of all, before I start on my plan, her plan is going to raise taxes and even double your taxes. Her tax plan is a disaster. And she can say all she wants about college tuition, and I'm a big proponent. We're going to do a lot of things for college tuition, but the rest of the public...
Here, Charles. Just want to get over here. Blah, blah.
Under Hillary Clinton's plan. But I'd like to start off where we left. Because when I said Japan and Germany, and I'm not to single them out, but South Korea, these are very rich, powerful countries. Saudi Arabia, nothing but money. We protect Saudi Arabia. Why aren't they paying? She immediately, when she heard this, I questioned it. And I questioned NATO. Why aren't the NATO questioned? Why aren't they paying? Because they weren't paying. Since I did this was a year ago, all of a sudden they're paying. And I've been given a lot of credit for it. All of a sudden they're starting to pay up. They have to pay up. We're protecting people. They have to pay up. And I'm a big fan of NATO, but they have to pay up. She comes out and said, we love our allies.
Yes,
we think our allies are great. Well, it's awfully hard to get them to pay up when you have somebody saying, we think how great they are. We have to tell Japan in a very nice way. We have to tell Germany, all of these countries, South Korea. We have to say, you have to help us out. We have, during his regime, during President Obama's regime, we've doubled our national debt. We're up to $20 trillion.
Smart Acres Andrew channel.
So my plan, we're going to renegotiate trade deals. We're going to have a lot of free trade. We're going to have free trade.
Nobody can click it?
But we have horrible deals. Our jobs are being taken out by the deal that her husband signed, NAFTA, one of the worst deals ever. Our jobs are being sucked out of our economy. You look at...
It looked like it served us about 8 and then stopped.
I cannot get a Sprint flask.
You can't drop another dispo.
Upstate New York. Our jobs have fled to Mexico and other places. We're bringing our jobs back.
I just chill out and clicking this.
Renegotiate NAFTA. And if I
Don't
keep
everybody
making a
like
deal,
nuke this one. Just
then
wait.
we're going to
Nobody
terminate
click it.
NAFTA and we're going to create
Alright.
new deals. We're going to have trade.
Yeah, my one by one.
We're going to make a great
That one
trade
looks
deal.
okay. Cool.
And if we can't, we're going to do it. We're going to go a separate
Glad
way.
to see they still haven't
Because
fixed
it
it.
has been a disaster. We are going to cut taxes massively. We're going to cut business taxes massively. They're going to start hiring people. We're going to bring the $2.5 trillion that's off
We got that.
back into the country.
We still had a
We're
bugged
going
one.
to start the engine rolling again, because right now,
Alright, change your
our country
talents.
is dying at 1%.
Check your gear. Blah 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 blah.
Let
blah.
me translate
You know.
that if I can, Chris, because
You
the
can't.
fact is he's going to advocate for the largest
I'll put
tax
all the
cuts we've ever
politics
seen,
stuff in the go
3
link too.
times more than the tax cuts under the Bush administration. I have said repeatedly throughout this campaign, I will not raise taxes on anyone making $250,000 or less. I also will not add a penny to the debt. I have costed out what I'm going to do. He will, through his massive tax cuts, add $20 trillion to the debt. Well, he mentioned the debt. We know how to get control of the debt. When my husband was president, we went from a $300 billion deficit to a $200 billion surplus, and we were actually on the path to eliminating the national debt. When President Obama came into office, he inherited the worst economic disaster since the Great Depression. He has cut the deficit by 2/3. So, yes, one of the ways you go after the debt, one of the ways
let's
you
go.
create jobs is by investing in people. So I do have investments in new jobs, investments in education.
At least I just got one. Smarty got one.
And the opportunities for people to get ahead and stay ahead. That's the kind of approach that will work. Cutting taxes on the wealthy, we've tried that, but it has not worked the way that it has been.
Secretary Clinton, I want to pursue your plan because in many ways it is similar to the Obama stimulus plan in 2009, which has led to the slowest GDP growth since 1949.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
About that.
You told me in July when we spoke that the problem is that President Obama didn't get to do enough in what he was trying to do with the stimulus. So is your...
They're all on like the right side. Just put them in singles.
The Obama stimulus?
Well, it's a combination, Chris. And let me say that when you inherit the level of economic catastrophe that President Obama inherited, it was a real touch-and-go situation. I was in the Senate before I became Secretary of State. I've never seen people as physically distraught as the Bush administration team was because of what was happening to the economy. I personally believe that the steps that President Obama took saved the economy. He doesn't get the credit he deserves for taking some very hard positions. But it was a terrible recession. So now we've dug ourselves out of it. We're standing, but we're not yet running. So what I am proposing is that we invest from the middle out and the ground up, not the top down. That is not going to work. That's why what I have put forward doesn't add a penny to
Did he just do muscles,
but it is the kind of approach that will enable
what was that?
people
Did he just do muscles? Or black or cold?
We're beginning to see
Black or cold?
no,
I don't think so.
Have that buff icon.
Which one?
We've got to do more to get the whole economy moving, and that's what I believe I will be able to do.
Mr. Trump, even
I'm wearing a Naga mask.
Looked at your plan.
That fatty 40 int.
That your idea, and you've talked about 25 million jobs created, 4%
over a 10-year period
growth, is unrealistic. And they say you talk a lot about growing the energy industry.
Oh man, we all get those
prices as well.
Please, people, Joru, ha.
Your response.
So I just left some representatives of India. They're growing at 8%. China is growing at 7%, and that for them is a catastrophically low number. We are growing. Our last report came out, and it's right around the 1% level, and I think it's going down. Last week, as you know, at the end of last week, they came out with an anemic jobs report, a terrible jobs report. In fact, I said, is that the last jobs report before the election? Because if it is, I should believe it. It was so bad. The report was so bad. Look, our country is stagnant. We've lost our jobs. We've lost our businesses.
Surprise, I'm gonna kill the double dreads and I'm coming over to get the jerks off you so you can reset. And then when you're doing your reset, see if you can get like one clear while you're coming back out or going in, one of the two.
Yeah, I can.
And
I've gotten to know so many, I've developed so many friends over the last year, and they cry when they see what's happened. I passed factories that were thriving 20, 25 years ago, and because of
you get smartest.
Her husband signed and she blessed 100%. It is just horrible what's happened to these people in these communities. Now, she can say that her husband did well, but boy, did they suffer as NAFTA kicked in, because it didn't really kick in very much. But it kicked in after they left. Boy, did they suffer. That was one of the worst things that's ever been signed by a country. Now she wants to sign Trans-Pacific Partnership, and she wants it. She lied when she said she didn't go to the gold standard in one of the debates. She lied. She didn't go to the gold standard, and they actually fact-checked, and they said I was right.
I want to give you a chance to briefly speak to that, and I want to give it to one second.
That will be
Go ahead.
Let me say, number one, when I saw the final agreement for TPP, I said I was against it. It didn't meet my test. I had the same test. Create jobs, raise income, and further our national security. I'm against it now. I'll be against it after the election. I'll be against it when I'm president. There's only one of us on this stage who's actually shipped jobs to Mexico, because that's Donald. He's shipped jobs to 12 countries, including Mexico. But he mentioned China. And, you know, one of the China is the illegal dumping of steel and aluminum into our markets. I have fought against that as a senator. I've stood up against it as Secretary of State. Donald has bought Chinese steel. In fact, the Trump hotel right here in Las Vegas was made with Chinese steel. So he goes around with crocodile tears and whatever it is, but he has given jobs to Chinese steel workers, not American steel workers.
Freedom.
That's the kind of approach that is just not going to work. We're going to pull the country together.
What's coming?
Agreements that we enforce. That's why I'm going to have a trade process here for the first time in history. And we're going to enforce
Got two left out there.
agreements, and we're going to look for businesses
Hit those west and get on the drive.
buying American products.
I ask a simple question. She's been doing this for 30 years. Why the hell didn't you do it over the last 15, 20 years? You were much involved. Excuse me. My turn. You were very much involved in every aspect of this country. Very much. And you do have experience. And I'll say the one thing you have over is experience, but it's bad experience. Because what you've done is turned out bad. For 30 years, you've been in a position to help. And if you say that I use steel or I use something else, I make it impossible. I wouldn't mind.
You might not get my sack, or my freedom rather.
If you don't get
Where's freedom?
if you don't. Just like when you ran the state $6 billion was his. How do you miss $6 billion? He ran the State Department. $6 billion was either stolen.
I'm getting like 5 seconds parse. I'm gonna go to your parse. Nature Park.
This country is going to be in some
Yeah, west or south.
What he just said about the State Department is not only untrue, it's
Sorry, it's freedom. West coming.
I think it's really an important issue. You raised the 30 years of experience. So let me just talk briefly about that. You know, back in the 1970s, I worked for the Children's Defense Fund, and I was taking on discrimination against African American kids in schools. He was getting sued by the Justice Department for racial discrimination in his apartment buildings. In the 1980s, I was working to reform schools in Arkansas. He was borrowing $14 million from his father to start his business. In the 1990s, I went to Beijing, and I said, women's rights are human rights. He insulted a former Miss Universe, Elisa Machado, called her a heating machine. And on the day when I was in the Situation Room, monitoring the raid that brought us
There you go. I'm about save that pedal for Pirates,
he was
please.
hosting the celebrity.
Pirates, I got him. Save one reset for the Pirates.
My 30 years of experience, what I've done for this country, trying to help in every way I could, especially kids and families, get ahead and stay ahead with your 30 years, and I'll...
Oh, you reset right there too, also? Or...
company, some of the greatest assets anywhere in the world. Billions of dollars.
That was a lot quicker than last time.
Yeah, we killed the Dryads. We powered through the Dryads.
Yeah, that was super fucking fast.
We have a lot more damage. Just die.
Do you want to move a Death Knight or someone else to the boss?
And frankly,
The first Dryad was like a second away from casting her second touch. Or third touch, or with second touch. I think people were hitting like the second. We weren't focusing skull. Because we had more damage on the Dryads, but people weren't focusing skull.
because we should have never been in Iraq, but once we were there, we should have never.
And Pirate, well, it's not. I don't think that was faster Pirates. That's just the first time we've tried that.
I'm confused here. Yeah, you're taking the Dryads. I'm just dumb.
No. Yeah, that. But usually, long ago, I would get on the boss after I killed the Dryads. This time, I'm just going straight to you.
No, I was like sitting there waiting for the Dryads to spawn. I was like, huh. Oh wait, he just killed those. That's right. I'm retarded.
Trump at the last debate.
That's why I thought it was a lot faster.
Your talk about grabbing women was just that, talk.
Can we drop G-Pink, please?
So I'll go back there and reset and come back with instantly.
Yeah, with like one's clear if you can.
Yeah.
Or kiss them without their consent. Why would so many different women from so many different circumstances,
You should have
so many
potions.
different years, why would they all
Let's
in
keep
this
bots
last
everything.
couple of weeks make up? You denied
Oh,
it.
you
Why would
much
they all
better,
make up
Smart
these
Kid.
stories? And since this is a question for both of you,
Need the clothes.
Secretary Clinton, Mr. Trump says what.
Do you still want me hitting scenarios when that first ride comes out? The very first one.
Worse, Mr. Trump, you go first.
I was at Hampton. It was terrifying.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Those people, I don't know those people.
You're only gonna get one.
How they came. I believe it was her campaign that
I think you're only gonna get like.
If you look at what came out today on the clips, where I was wondering what happened in my rally in Chicago and other rallies where we had such violence, She's the one in Obama that caused the violence. They hired people, they paid them $1,500, and they're on tape saying, be violent, cause fights, do bad things. I would say the only way, because those stories are all totally false.
I think you're only going to get like 2 less in the whole fight, Scrupa. So,
sitting right here.
is there any way you can use your second less, like, can you do it? When do you use your cooldowns?
The woman on the plane,
Like,
the woman...
is there any way you can, like, when are you using your second less? Is it on the boss when it has thorns?
Not that time, because I knew if I did I was going to flop, so
You're
I actually
only,
saved it.
You're only going to get 1 extra lust in, so, like, just use it. If you, maybe, like, do you use cooldowns on the second tryhards?
Yeah.
Can you just put your second lust there?
Sure.
Yeah, because you're not going to get a third.
Started by her. I believe, Chris, that she got these people to step forward. If it wasn't...
And, yeah, so just hit the first tryhard, Scrupa. That's, like, super scary.
Totally, it was all fiction. It was lies and it was fiction.
Well,
Secretary Klein.
At the last debate, we heard Donald talking about what he did to women. And after that, a number of women have come forward saying that's exactly what he did to them. Now, what was his response? Well, he held a number of big rallies where he said that he could not possibly have done those things to those women because they were not attractive enough for being assaulted.
Did not say that.
In fact, he went on to say, he went on to say, look at her, I don't think so. About another woman, he said, that wouldn't be my first choice. He attacked the woman reporter writing the story, called her disgusting, as he has called a number of women during this campaign. Donald thinks belittling women makes him bigger. He goes after their dignity, their self-worth. I don't think there is a woman anywhere who doesn't know what that feels like. So we now know what Donald thinks and what he says and how he acts towards it. That's who Donald is. I think it's really up to all of us to demonstrate who we are and who our country is, and to stand up and be very clear about what we expect from our next president, how we want to bring our country together, where we don't want to have the kind of
Freedom.
people one against the other, where instead we celebrate our diversity, we lift people up, and we
What's coming?
make our country even greater. America is great because America is good. And it really is up to all of us to make that true now and in the future, and particularly for our children and our grandchildren.
Mr. Trump.
Nobody has more respect for women than nobody. Nobody has more respect.
Everybody.
And frankly, those shows have been largely debunked. And I really want to just talk about something slightly different. She mentions this, which is all fiction, all fictionalized. Probably or possibly started by her and her very sleazy campaign. And I will tell you, that isn't fictionalized. Her emails. She destroyed 33,000 emails criminally after getting a subpoena from the United States Congress. Into the FDA. We have a great general. In all the papers, who will potentially serve 5 years in jail for lying to the FDA. One lie.
Brambles under boss.
Hundreds of cases for the people.
Reset, yeah. Oh, you gotta be better at that. Every range should have 0 stacks right now. Where's Freedom? Sorry.
Star General. And she gets away with it, and she can run for the presidency.
Brambles.
That's really what you should be talking about, not fiction, where somebody wants fame or where they come out of her crooked campaign.
Well, every time Donald is pushed on something which is obviously uncomfortable, like what these women are saying, he immediately goes to denying responsibility. And it's not just about women. He never apologizes or says he's sorry for anything. So we know what he has said and what he's done to women. But he also, a disabled reporter, mocked and mimicked
JJ.
national television.
Just
He
resetting.
went after Mr. and Mrs. Khan, the parents of a young man who died serving our country.
Did that reset take longer than usual, Halcyon?
Their religion.
Yeah, I had to run through. I got speared, and I had to run through a bunch of people afterwards.
People who aren't captured. He went after a federal judge, born in Indiana. But
Rambles are on you. Try not to cut it towards a pack of 3 people.
Racketeering case against Trump University.
But you're supposed to run it over the mages and their runes.
It's not one.
You get the bonus
It's not
to
even the
determine
rune
power.
so much. There was like 3 or 4 of us stacked up, and Rambles were just kited right on top of us. There was a path that she could have gone elsewhere. You're just wasting DPS right there. Like, fuck your own DPS and let us do our jobs.
Applauds people who are pushing and
Try
pulling
to.
and
Just try.
punching at his rallies. That is not who America is.
Was it like
And
they don't know it's on them?
as
Or was it pretty obvious?
To me, it was pretty obvious that it was right on top of them. And they kited it over like 3 or 4 people.
What's at stake in this?
When there was a path, they could have just gone backwards, and they would have avoided everybody.
Going to have.
So sad when she talks about violence at my rallies, and she caused the violence. It's on tape.
During the last...
The other things are false, but honestly, I'd love to talk about getting rid of ISIS, and I'd love to talk about other things.
Okay.
But those other charges, as she knows,
There,
are false.
in this bucket about fitness to be president, there's been a lot of developments over the last 10 days since the last debate. I'd like to ask you about them. These are questions that the American people have. Secretary Clinton, during your 2009 Senate confirmation hearing, you promised to avoid even the appearance of a conflict of interest with your dealing with the Clinton Foundation while you were Secretary of State. But emails show that donors got special access to you. Those seeking grants for Haiti relief were considered separately non-donors, and some of those donors got contracts, government contracts, taxpayer money. Can you really say that you kept your pledge for that connectivity? Why isn't what happened on between you and the Clinton Foundation? Why isn't what the Trump call paid plus?
Well, everything I did as Secretary of State is in furtherance of our country's interests and our values. The State Department has said that. I think that's been proven. But I am happy. In fact, I am thrilled to talk about the Clinton Foundation because it is a world-renowned charity. And I am so proud of the work that it does. You know, I could talk for the rest of the debate. I know I don't have the time to do that. But just briefly, the Clinton Foundation made it possible for 11 million people around the world with HIV/AIDS to afford treatment, and that's about half of all the people in the world who are getting treatment. In partnership with the American Health Association, we have made
More on the tree, a lot more.
Respectfully, this is an open discussion.
Well, it is an open discussion.
I understand, and the specific question went to pay for play. Do you want to talk about that?
But there is no evidence, but there is
Freedom.
evidence about the very good work and the hard training.
Criminal enterprise. Saudi Arabia giving $25 billion, Qatar, all of these countries. You talk about women and women's rights. So these are people that push gays off countries. These are people that kill women and treat women horribly, and yet you take their money. So I'd like to ask you right now, why don't you give back the money that you've taken from certain countries that treat certain groups of people so horribly? Why don't you give back the money? I think it would be a great gesture, because she takes a tremendous amount of money, and you take a look at the people.
Delayed breath.
I was at a little Haiti the other day in Florida, and I want to tell you, they hate the Clintons, because what's happened in Haiti with the Clinton Foundation is a disgrace. And you know it, and they know it, and everybody knows it.
Secretary.
Well, very quickly, the Clinton Foundation spent 90% of all the money that is donated on behalf of programs that we do around the world and in our own
Paris Freedom.
I'm very proud of that. We have the highest rating from the watchdogs that follow foundations.
Range reset.
Foundation, which
Every range. Reset every range.
portrait of Donald.
Smartest.
Who does that? It just was astonishing. But when it comes to Haiti, Haiti is the poorest country in our hemisphere. the earthquake and the hurricanes that has devastated Haiti. Bill and I have been involved in trying to help Haiti for many years. The Clinton Foundation raised $30 million to help Haiti after the catastrophic earthquake and all of the terrible problems the people there had. We've done things to help small businesses, agriculture, and so much else. And we're going to keep working to help Haiti because it's an important part of the American...
They don't want you to help them anymore. I'd like to mention one thing. Trump Foundation, small foundation. People contribute, I contribute. The money goes 100%.
Smartest freedom.
100%.
Leave someone puddles for Pyrus. Please, don't. Please stop soaking that. It's for Pyrus. Okay, Pyrus.
What was some of the money used?
Don't touch the puddle.
For the right and to put up the American
penalty that was imposed by Palm Beach County.
There was. And by the way, the money went to Fisher House, where they build houses. The money that you're talking about went to Fisher House.
Got one.
They build houses for veterans.
4 seconds.
Oh, didn't make it.
Fuck. Are you kidding me? Are people not sucking potting there? Do I really have to go look now?
I did not pot because I thought we were going to make it. Last time we beat it really fast.
Like, how, what the fuck? Are you kidding me?
But what is really troubling
Everybody damn.
is that we learned in the last debate he has not paid a penny in federal income tax. And we were talking about immigrants a few minutes ago, Chris. You know, half of all immigrants, undocumented immigrants in our country,
It was close last time, a lot closer.
federal income tax. So we have undocumented immigrants in America who are paying more federal income tax than a billionaire. I find that
let me just tell you very
astonishing.
simply, we're entitled, because of the laws that people like her pass, to take massive amounts of depreciation and other charges, and we do it. And all of her donors...
Like, why is that so shit? Why is that just complete garbage?
George Soros, took hundreds of millions of dollars. Let me just explain. All of her donors, most of her donors...
Can we just get off the dryads earlier?
And you know what you should have done?
Folks, we heard
and
this.
you know, Hillary, what you should have done?
I don't want, like...
The law when you were a United States Senator.
Folks, we heard this.
Because your donors and your special interests are doing...
What was the consensus on the DKs and Smarticus?
Smarticus is definitely on the boss. DKs can have a little more cleave on the dryads, but you can put them on the boss. It doesn't matter.
Today, on a very beautiful hotel down the street, known as...
Made with Chinese steel.
But I will tell you, I sat there...
Sorry, so yeah, can you stay on the boss during that second dryad?
False ad.
And we need to swap to the boss faster.
That gave so much money because they know...
Can someone just say as soon as thorns are off? That's the only concern is because I don't want to... My stacks are getting up, and I don't want to use that puddle because I'm saving it for Pyrus and Hillston.
I think thorns are still up. I could be wrong, but we just we deleted the dryads. I'm wondering. I'm thinking as soon as the second set of debuffs go out, like as soon as the second set of touches goes out and is finished, let's just hop on the boss. I'll drag her under the boss. Pharaoh will take her and we'll just push the boss.
Absolutely accept the result of this election today.
Hopefully that was just a bad poll. Pulling in 10. Pre-pot everybody.
Here on the stage tonight, do you make the same commitment that you will absolutely, sir?
Do those damages, Pyrus. Stop them binging wings.
I will look at it anytime.
What was that?
Do the damages right here.
I'm doing it.
Doesn't look like it.
Maybe I should pre-pot.
It's so amazing. The New York Times actually wrote an article.
I'm good on
that.
I
I was told to use the stamina flag.
You're using stamina.
If you look at your voter rolls, you will see millions of people that are registered to vote. Millions. This isn't coming from millions of people.
I could pump in like a mil more there, but it means I'd probably die later on. I don't think it's worth it.
Let me just give you one other thing. So I talked about the correct meeting, I talked about the millions of people. One other thing. It's goodbye. She's guilty of a very, very serious crime. She should not be allowed to run. And just in that respect, I say...
Much more on the tree.
She should never have been allowed to run for the presidency based on what she did. and so many other things.
But sir, there is a tradition in this country. Yes, of this country. We are here to save freedom. No matter how hard fought a campaign is, at the end of the campaign,
what's coming?
The loser succeeds. I'm not saying that you're necessarily going to be the loser or the winner, but the loser succeeds to the winner, and that the country comes together in part for the good of the country. Are you saying you're not prepared now to commit to that principle?
Is that I will tell you at the time. I'll keep you in suspense.
Well, Chris, let me respond to that, because that's horrifying. You know, every time Donald thinks things are not going in his direction, he claims whatever it is rigged against him. The FBI conducted a year-long investigation into my emails. They concluded there was no case. He said the FBI was rigged. He lost the Iowa caucus. He lost the Wisconsin primary. He said the Republican primary was rigged against him. Then Trump University gets sued for fraud and racketeering. He claims the court system and the federal judge was rigged against him. There was even a time when he didn't get an Emmy for his TV program.
Did you grip on this one, Halcyander said?
Tweeting that the Emmy
Iris Freedom Range, start looking at photos.
And it's funny, but it's also really troubling. That is not the way our democracy works. We've been around for 240 years. We've had free and fair elections. We've accepted the outcomes when we may not have liked them, and that is what must be expected of anyone standing on a debate stage during a general election. You know, President Obama said the other day, when you're whining before the election's even finished, it just shows you're not up to doing the job. And let's be clear about what he is saying and what that means.
Both got off.
It's my bad.
Well, it was all, every melee had it, so it was fucked right there.
Somebody who is the nominee of one of our two major parties would
It's
take that
Rip
kind
Wally's.
of position.
I think what the FBI did and what the Department of Justice did, including meeting with her
That was actually the worst melee RNG I have ever seen.
in Arizona.
100% like 8 out of 8 melee.
I think we've never had a situation.
Should have manner up though.
This doesn't do any good for anyone. Let's please continue the debate and let's move on to the subject.
Wally, why you gotta do this?
Hotspots.
You're acting like it's actually me that's controlling this.
Why would you have these, like, why would you
It
even
just
wish this?
I don't wish this. I actually wish to kill this motherfucker, but it's not like I can control it, my friend.
That's something that whichever of you ends up with.
You control the internet.
The president is going to have.
I'll just throw more money at whoever you have, and they'll fix it.
I'm the reason Halcyon DC lost his internet connection a couple of weeks ago, right?
He admitted it.
Go back
Sorry,
to
You probably-
tinfoiling your whole house.
It was actually me.
Well,
You probably put that snake in his house, didn't you?
I did put that snack in his house, yeah.
By the Iraqi
The groundhog.
Army,
And the groundhog, oh my god, it's all coming out now.
Also,
Completely my fault.
given the help and advice from the number of...
I like to give you the benefit of the doubt. I think you released the snake to kill the groundhog.
I will not support putting American soldiers into Iraq as an occupying force.
That snake's still there, Halcyon?
It's in our interest, and I don't
I
think that
killed
would
it.
be smart to do. And
You killed
Aww.
Chris, I
Yeah.
think that would be
He
a
backed
big
his car
red
up into the
flag
house and exhausted
waiting
it out.
for ISIS to
Gassed it.
constitute itself. The goal here is to take back Mosul.
Although I
It's
don't
gonna
like-
be a
I don't
hard
like
fight.
killing
I've got
snakes.
no illusions about that.
I was trying to be
Snack
nice.
is dead?
To press into
What'd you do to the gummy
Syria
worm?
to
Wally, don't
begin
fuck
to
around this
take
time.
back and move on
Did he at
Raqqa,
any point
which
offer
is
you an
ISIS
apple?
headquarters.
Let me do exactly that.
I am
Pretty
hopeful
The
Wrath of a
that
GRE
the
book.
work that American
5,
military advisors
4,
have done will pay
3,
off, and that
2,
we will see
1.
a really successful military operation. But we know we've got lots of work to do. Syria will remain
Funeral was booked.
as long as the civil war aided and
You can read about it later.
and the Russians continue. So I have said, look, we need to keep our eye on ISIS. That's why I want to have an intelligence
Pretty
service
sure he's all over that book.
home. Why we have to go after them from the air, on the ground, online. Why we have to make sure here at home we don't let terrorists buy weapons. If you're too dangerous to fly, you're too dangerous to buy a gun. And I'm going to continue to push for a no-fly zone and a safe haven within Syria, not only to help protect the Syrians and prevent the constant outflow of refugees, but to frankly gain some leverage on both the Syrian government and the Russians so that perhaps we can have the kind of serious negotiation necessary
if we are able to put ISIS out of Mosul and out of Iraq, would you be willing to put U.S. troops in there to prevent their return or something else?
Let me tell you, we had Mosul. But when she left, when she took everybody out, we lost Mosul. Now we're fighting again.
Range cleared, freedom.
Mosul, and what they wanted to do is they wanted to get...
What's coming?
They felt in Mosul. About 3 months ago, I started reading that they want to get the leaders. And they're going to attack. Whatever happened to the elements of security? Okay? We announced we're going after Mosul. We've been reading about going after Mosul now for about, how long has it been? 3 months? These people have all left. They've all left. The element of surprise. Douglas, MacArthur, George, Patton, spinning in their graves when they see the stupidity.
Look at your stacks.
So we're now fighting for Mosul that we had. All we had to do was stay there. Now we're going in together. But you know who the big winner in Mosul is going to be after we eventually get it? And the only reason they did is because she's running for the office of president. And they want to look tough. They want to look good.
Fucking hate you all I do say.
The red line in the sand.
Huh?
Britain friends.
He loves you. She wanted to make it so they're going in. Who's going to get Mosul?
Canberra's double.
Yeah, he did. I'm lagging. So.
Same, I like hit a huge lag spike where you died. Paris, freedom.
Reset.
Yeah, and I got the glitch.
This is like fucked.
Yeah.
It was at the exact same time, it just froze up for 5 seconds and everybody rubber banded.
Wally, come on, dude.
I didn't wipe us.
Absolutely nuclear weapons. Iran should write us yet another letter saying thank you.
Can you pay money to the internet and fix it?
And as I said many years ago,
I'm already paying them monthly.
Something they've wanted to do forever.
No, I mean the actual internet.
So we're now going to take Mosul, and you know who's going to be the beneficiary?
I'm with Halcyon. I don't think it has anything to do with DCs. I think it's just...
Look, you're not there.
Orban's puns.
In that decision, but you were there when you took everybody out of Mosul and out of Iraq. You shouldn't have been in Iraq, but you did vote for it. You shouldn't have been in Iraq, but once you were in Iraq, you should have never left the way. The point is, the big winner is going to be Iran.
Well,
wholly to blame.
Once again,
Pitched in.
Donald is implying that he didn't support the invasion of Iraq. I said it was a mistake. I've said
You're
that
an
years
enabler,
ago.
though.
He has
That's the problem.
You're the enabler.
Wrong.
I wouldn't have done that second one if it weren't for you.
For the invasion, he supported it. And, you know, I just want everybody to go Google it. Google Donald Trump Iraq, and you will see the dozens of sources which verify that he was for the invasion of Iraq. And you can actually hear the audio of him saying that. Now, why does that matter? Well, it matters because he has not told the truth about that position. I guess he believes it makes him look better now in contrast with me because I did vote for it. But what's really important here is to understand all the interplay. Mosul is a Sunni city. Mosul is on the border of Syria. And yes, we do need to go after Baghdadi, and just like we went after bin Laden while you were doing Celebrity Apprentice, and we brought him to justice. We need to go after the leadership, but we need to get rid of them, get rid of their fighters. They're estimated several thousand fighters. Working underground, they've been prepared to defend. It's going to be tough fighting, but I think we can take that Mosul and then we can move on into Syria and take back from them. This is what we have to do. I'm just amazed that he seems to think that the Iraqi government and our allies and everybody else launched...
I have no idea how I'm getting hit by that. Yeah, it's bullshit hitbox. I don't even blame you. It's dumb.
Consistent either.
Nice. Let's go.
You are the one that's unfit. You know, WikiLeaks just actually said some horrible things about you, and boy was he right. He said some beauties. And you know, Bernie Sanders, he said you have bad judgment. You do. And if you think that going into Mosul, after we let the world know we're going in, and all of the people that we really wanted, the leaders, you think that was good, then you do. Now, John Podesta said you have terrible instincts. Bernie Sanders said you have bad judgment. I agree with both.
Well, you should ask Bernie Sanders who he's supporting for president, and he has said,
Which
as a campaign for me around the country, you are the most dangerous person to run for president in the modern history of America.
Mr. Trump, in the last debate, you were both
Paris, freedom.
the situation in Syria.
Range, start looking at resetting. Range these puddles, everybody orange stacks.
Were not true. You said that Aleppo had basically fallen. In fact, there are...
Freedom. West coming.
Have you seen it? Have you seen it? Have you seen what's happening to Aleppo? It hasn't fallen. Take a look at it.
Well, there are 250,000 people still living there and being slaughtered.
And they are being slaughtered because of bad decisions.
And you also said that ISIS and Syria and Russia are busy fighting ISIS. In fact, they have been the ones who've been bombing and shelling people. And they just announced a humanitarian pause, in fact, admitting that they have been bombing and shelling.
Should be a
It was a disaster. It's a humanitarian nightmare, but it has fallen from any standpoint.
Marcus, freedom.
It is so sad when you see what's happening. And a lot of this is because what's happening
First.
by fighting Assad, he turned out to be a lot tougher than she thought.
Roll up.
Negative.
He's just much tougher and much smarter.
You gonna get on first?
Sure.
Lost for a while.
2 years ago. He aligned with Russia.
Yay!
So aligned with Iran.
Alright, so just chill there for a little bit.
We give them 1.7.
And then can you start moving the... you can stay there, you can stay there. Drop the first square in that corner. Walls, 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 walls.
Aligned with Russia and with Iran.
Yeah, you can.
They don't want ISIS.
And then when the puddle drops, everybody reset. Coming in a few seconds. Everybody reset. And then can you tank the boss on Malfurion? Get Burl up now. Tank the boss on Malfurion and clear the
Tank
roots
the
down.
boss if you can.
You get these fires, I'm coming too.
The roots are in.
Didn't pop anything for spear.
Didn't have anything.
Walls.
Keep going.
If she did nothing, we'd be in much better shape. And this is what's caused the Great Migration, where she's
It'd be a shitty spot for her, but...
refugees,
Dead.
probably in many cases, not probably.
This made is so fucking easy.
ISIS aligned.
Like, you didn't have anything called for like buff or rune tap or blood mirror or icebound fortitude or armor potion. Like,
I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't watching timers. Like, I just taunted right when I got up and he instantly did the cast. I didn't react fast enough. That was my fault.
In the last debate, and again today, that you would impose
Ideally,
a
who's taking that first
to
one?
protect the people
He
of
is?
Aleppo and to stop the killing there.
Were you
President
manager?
Obama has refused to do that because he fears it's going to draw us closer or deeper into the conflict. And General Joseph Dunford, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, says, you impose a no-fly zone, chances are you're going to get into a war, his words, with Syria and Russia. So the question I have is, if you impose a no-fly zone, first of all, how do you respond to their concerns? Secondly, if you impose a no-fly zone and a Russian plane violates that, does President Clinton shoot that plane down?
Well, Chris, first of all, I think a no-fly zone could save lives and could hasten the end of the conflict. I am well aware of the really legitimate concerns that you have expressed from both the president and the general. This would not be done just on the first day.
Ideally, I'm gonna take the first spear parse and
clear to the Russians and the Syrians.
I just want to be clearing at that time. I want you to reset your stacks and like
on the ground.
ideally, I'll be having the boss when they push 35%. We'll do it like that fast. So you reset your stacks. You don't even have to clear if you want. Like, it's up to you. Because you probably want to cut.
I don't have my bubble really for anything else.
Oh, then if you have bubble, for sure. I was just thinking you would want to get out there with full HP.
Was in the best interests of the people on the ground in Syria.
So yeah, just bubble, clear that, come in or out, and then as soon as you clear your stacks, come out to me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna relog for frames. Everybody relog, please. Let's fucking kill this. I'd like to do that. That's the kill. It's that easy. We have like the tanks.
Yeah, even without disaster, it was at 16.
I can like solo tank the last phase too. I can be up.
The blood coming down his face while he sat in an ambulance is haunting.
We're ignoring
and
the
so
group.
we are going to.
We're just gonna put the boss on him and clip him.
Okay.
That does not solve our internal challenges with ISIS and our need to stop radicalization, to work with American Muslim communities who are on the front.
The past couple of times, one or two been on me consistently. Like even if I'm not healing, one just darts over to me.
Of the dozens of people.
Yeah, I can put my statue out farther. I thought green was normal. Wait, I'll put it right.
The same place Donald was born. So let's be clear.
Well, they've also
threat
had
is
their
and how
pools
we are
super close to me the past couple of
desperately
attempts. Like sometimes they're
and
like
yes,
right
some
here.
of that threat emanates from over
So,
Syria and Iraq, and we've got to
I
keep
always thought
fighting, and
Malfurion
I
was
will
chilling on
defeat
red marker, but
ISIS.
we'll start the phase here on. We'll stay on this side for the last phase, phase 2. I'm gonna drop the first spear here on red, and then we'll just have everybody chilling around the tree. I'll be able to clear all that shit, but like ranged, when we push that last phase, your money spot range is gonna be around the red marker. If you're looking for a spot to like camp out at, it's gonna be in like the red marker is your area. And ideally we want brambles kind of like out to green, just like outside, and range are just soft spread around red markers.
She had nothing to do with it. But
we're all piled up on the tree here for mana or whatever, but then like when tree goes away and whatnot. Red, I'll take the first spear over here and then roll taunt off, and I'll do clean massively.
To our final segment, and that is the national debt, which is
I still have my turtle there if you want to use it.
I'll call for it if I need it, but I think I can handle most all.
77%. That's the highest.
Hopefully, Verl can take the second one with like Blood Mirror, Rune Tap, Armor Potion, should be fine.
Responsible federal budget says Secretary Clinton, under your plan,
Where does the last tree spawn to clear your stacks?
It's on the biggest clump of players, so it usually happens around like red marker.
I was like in the mid 40s there towards the end, so I need to find a place to clean it again.
Yeah,
Well, I say they're wrong because
I will try it. You'll notice on Mumble in the last phase, I'll be like, everybody clear stacks, and I'd say that when the puddle spawns.
Yeah, it'll all depend on the drakes when they breed though too, you know.
And I actually think
So I'll try to do it after that.
If manage constantly clearing, there won't be too many brambles. There's a lot less shit going on.
You don't have
Yeah, like the last phase, if we stop having Pyrus and Verl die, and I can like do my job in the last phase is really mellow. And I'm dead, like the last phase is just calm. There's no ads, it's just like, oh, dodge the wall, and then you did DPS tunnel for 30 seconds, and dodge the wall, and DPS 30 seconds, and dodge the wall. That's all the last phase is. Only 10. I'll take care of all the brambles.
Am I able to just get a bot for that second spear? Because I usually don't have Blood Mirror or Armor Pod at that point.
We've had people that are political hacks.
Yeah.
Making the biggest deals, and they were bigger than companies. You take these big
Yeah.
companies, these trade deals are far bigger than
I'll just pop that second spear.
many of whom back me and many of whom back Hillary, I'm not saying. But we don't use those people. Those are the people, these are the greatest negotiators in the world.
Hankins leg.
To negotiate our trade deals. We use political hacks.
I refuse to read that.
Campaign contribution. And we're dealing with China and people that are very much smaller than they are. So we have to use our great leaders. But that being said, we will create an economic machine, the likes of which we haven't seen in many decades. And people
Bye again.
go back to the work, and they'll make a lot of money.
I'm lagging too. Like
Let me
small
just to
hits.
reset.
Yeah, I'm getting small hitches as well. Wally, anything.
Make America great again. I wonder when he thought
It's not bad. Like that attempt I could play with it. The other attempt I just like rubber banded for 6 seconds.
Yeah, so did I, and I had brambles on me.
And Obama were there. I think it's important to recognize that he has been criticizing our government for decades. You know, back in 1987,
the best part about my internet, it's free.
$100,000 ad in the New York Times. During the time when
they hooked it up and we set up our account and like
basically said
subscribed and all that and like got all the payments set up, and here we are 18 months later and I've yet to be charged a single month.
This is the way
what the fuck?
Thinks about himself, puts himself.
Welcome
You're just gonna get a huge bill later.
Welcome to Bumfuck Montana. They're
They
awesome.
forgot you exist.
Their sick filing system. We just like fell off their boards.
I pay for
Octocom, fiber optic.
I do not add a penny
for Montana.
You better hope you have no issues, or else you have to call up.
Seriously, because I do think it's one of the issues we've got to come to grips with. So when I talk about
it's fine if we get one big bill for whatever one day they catch on, as long as it's the same price as if it was month to month.
And a lot of the other issues that people talk to me about all the
But
time.
it's like, yeah, haven't paid a single internet bill since we moved here.
Ask the wealthy and corporations to pay their fair share, and there is no evidence whatsoever that
we almost killed the boss, thinking that
we
wiped.
Diminish
we missed the push by 0.2%. Could have really used your Soul Reaper in that buff.
We've got to get back to rebuilding the middle class, the family.
I don't even think you realize how Soul Reaper works anymore.
Come from. That's why
you do it and then you blow 35% and it doesn't kill you, get some sick haste.
No.
The smartest way to
yeah.
move the economy, to
no.
make the economy fairer, and we just have a big disagreement about this. It may be because of our experiences. You know, we started off with dad as a millionaire, I started off with my dad as a small businessman. I think it's, you know, it's a difference that affects how we see the world and what we want to do with the economy.
Really bursting. Yeah.
Very strongly in favor. I disagreed with him. We should have been much tougher.
Okay, I can do this.
Frankly, now we're going to do it this. All right.
One last area I want to get into is the fact that the biggest driver of Warcraft is Titan X. 60% of all federal spending. Now, the major federal budget has looked at both of your plans, and they say neither of you have a serious plan to solve the fact that Medicare could run up
Freedom.
in the 2030s, and at that time, recipients are going to take huge cuts of their benefits. So, in effect, the final question I want to ask you in this regard is, I'm going to go to you, Mr. Trump. Would President Trump make a deal to save Medicare and Social Security that included both tax increases and benefits? A grand bargain on entitlement.
Cutting taxes. We're going to grow the economy. We're going to grow at a record rate.
What's going on?
And one thing we have to do, repeal and replace.
What's
known as Obamacare. It's destroying our country. It's destroying our businesses, our small business, and our big business.
Get them up.
We have to repeal and replace Obamacare. You take a look at the kind of numbers that will cost us in the year 17. It is a disaster. If we don't repeal and replace. Now, it's probably going to die of its own weight, but Obamacare has to go. The premiums are going up 60, 70, 80%. Next year, they can go up over 100%. And I'm really glad that the premiums have started, at least the people see what's happening, because she wants to keep Obamacare, and she wants to make it even worse. And it can't get any worse. Bad health care at the most expensive cost. We have to repeal and replace Obamacare.
And Secretary Clinton, same question, because at this point, Social Security and Medicare are going to run out of money. As president,
Group meal soon.
Right, and start looking under reset.
benefit cuts to try to take those folks.
So, Chris, I am on record as saying put more money in the Social Security Trust Fund. That's part of my commitment to raise taxes on the wealthy. My Social Security payroll contribution will go up, as will Donald, assuming he can't figure out how to get out of it. But what we want to do is to replenish the Social Security Trust Fund by making sure that we have sufficient resources, and that will come from either raising the cap and or finding other ways to get more money into it. I will not cut benefits. I want to to enhance benefits for low-income workers and for women who have been disadvantaged by the current Social Security system. But what Donald is proposing with these massive tax cuts will result in a $20 trillion additional national debt. That will have dire
freedom.
consequences for Social Security and Medicare.
Smart it is.
Save the puddle for Paris.
The Affordable Care Act
Going
extended
first.
the sovereignty of the
Got him.
Medicare Trust Fund. So if he repeals
Save puddle for Paris.
gets worse. What we need to do is go after the long-term health care drivers.
They're all spread out. I'm not going to be able to get much.
Increase value, emphasize wellness. I have a plan for doing that, and I think that we will
Could use puddle.
get entitlement spending under control by with more resources through harder decisions.
You might have to get the first one, Beryl. Yeah. There you go.
2 seconds.
Well, I suppose we're out
I'm gonna drop right when I get popped.
Oh.
Pop me.
It seems to me in a funny way that might make it more interesting.
10 seconds.
Closing statement.
Can you just like fuck the clearing Paris and holy
What the fuck? I don't know what happened if you don't use anything.
To be the next president. This is another new mini segment. Secretary Clinton, it's your turn.
Yeah, if you don't want me to clear, I can
just get him off way faster so I can do this shit.
Yeah,
When
I can just
when
sprint over
you
for
when you get bopped while he's casting, he's not mailing anybody, and you can taunt. Like you get bopped and you taunt, and he stays on you for 3 seconds.
Oh, okay.
And when he's casting, he's not mailing, so who cares if you drop threat?
Gotcha. Yeah, I legit had nothing there. Like I didn't even have rune tap charges at that point.
You know, I've been
That was pretty
privileged
fucking
to
sick.
see the presidency up close, and I know the awesome responsibility of protecting our country and the incredible opportunity of working to try to make life better for all of you.
I missed that bot because I tested a macro and didn't come back off cooldown by like 5 seconds.
That's what my mission will be in the presidency.
Trying to think of how I want to do
Stand
this.
up for families, against powerful
Like,
interests, against
how many roots do you think you've been cleared, Paris?
everything that I can to make sure
If they're not
that you
fucked
have
like
good
that, I can get all of them.
jobs,
But
rising income,
that attempt, there was some over here, and there was some near like the boss. So there's no way in hell I get all of
will
them.
give me a
But I could
chance to
definitely get
serve
the
as
majority.
president.
I'm using dispersion pretty quickly into that phase, so I'm clearing the ones by the boss.
Miser, the second we push 35% is turtle usually up.
Oh, yeah.
Can you clear? Like as soon as
I think
as
you
soon
should
as
save it, because that's when I can use mine. I'm assuming Kongi can use his.
and then after that, Miser needs to clear until I can get there.
Yes, yeah.
People on Earth.
Okay, so
It's-
he pushes Shadow Priest to take care of
He's
a
gonna
little
be
bit.
at like. Sorry, go ahead.
And then about 10-15 seconds later, you want me to go?
That can't happen.
Yeah, like when the boss is probably like
30%?
30, 28% maybe.
Okay.
Like 20, 26, 28, somewhere around there.
Inner cities are a disaster. You get shot walking
I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this first sphere. Like, Pirates, do you want to stay and bop Burl for the first
I
sphere?
don't have bop. My spell wording.
Oh.
All she's done
I can get
is
him.
talk to the African Americans and to the Latinos.
Okay.
But they get the vote, and then they come back. They say, "We'll see you in 4 years."
Do you think you can just watch the boss cast the second you cast the old bot Burl?
And it has to start now.
In relation to the spear dropping, do you know when the wall spawned? Same time, right before, right after?
Thank you both.
Probably about 5-10 seconds after, maybe?
Secretary Clinton.
Wait, before the big puddle shit spawned?
Yeah.
Was that the first one that covered the entire room?
Yeah.
Because it was like 5 seconds prior to it, and it like obliterated the melee.
Las Vegas and it's
Robin, are you saying if everybody stands right on red, you can avoid the wall?
That one, the way it spawned, yes.
Well, isn't this one always spawned right here?
No, it spawned further up.
Do you think if you stand in the water where I am, you can skip the first wall? Or is that just asking for trouble? Or should we
I
just
don't
take
think
the-
we should try a cheat
Yeah,
strat.
we should just take the boss farther up.
It spawned right about here-ish. In this line.
But just get clear stacks and get these fuckers off me as fast as possible so I can do everything in the last phase.
The moderator, Chris Wallace, shaking his hand. Let's see if they actually go ahead and shake hands right now.
Give me just 1 second.
Smartest will bot Burl for the first spear, while Pyrus is getting the tricks off me, and then I'll come in for the fucking. I don't want Burl taking the first one because then that means he has to take the third.
Accept the result of this presidential election.
One of the most stunning things I've ever heard.
I could stay in and take the first one if I don't clear.
And while I think it's fair to say that he
Can you clear and take the first one?
I can partially clear. Like if I stay in and I bubble at the last second, I can sprint out and clear a little bit.
That doesn't work. Reset your stacks and just get the drakes off me ASAP, and I'm taking the first spear.
Alright. That he to suggest
I'll do that as fast as a paladin can.
Of the election that we're about to hold.
Just like you can bubble clear, just clear whatever the fuck you can while you're coming out. Like just beeline straight to me. I'm taking him off you on the boss at like 38%, and ideally you can have him off me by the time I need to take the first spear.
Oh no, I'm just saying the only thing I have is fucking one divine seed up. The rest of it's literally running.
Check your class. Going to Hillary Clinton, all the women that are going to Hillary Clinton, all the minorities that are going to Hillary Clinton. No, I don't think he did anything to turn that around. Yes, he had some good moments, especially when it came to criticisms of her and her policies and President Obama's policies. But to suggest that he is not going to necessarily accept the results of the nomination, that was a disaster.
Yeah, it's truly extraordinary. I've never heard anything like that. Dana Bash, his vice presidential running mate, said they of course would accept the result of the voice of the American people. His donor said the same thing. He refused to say that. He said, I want to keep you in suspense.
Not only did his running mate say that, he said that to us in that very debate hall about an hour before Donald Trump took the stage. So it really just goes to show that Donald Trump, no matter how much he prepared, and you understand he prepared very well, and for the most part, the takes that I agree with you, Jake, and that for the most part during this debate, that came through. Donald Trump, and at the end of the day, before that comment happened, it looked like it was a wash. That she did well, that he did well, that it wasn't really clear if anybody was going to benefit or not until that.
That's the tree.
A very basic, something that my understanding is that he was certainly prepared for, and he didn't answer it in affirmative way. And more importantly, she was prepared. Opposition research ready to go about the time where he called other systems rigged, even the Emmys, and he didn't win an Emmy.
What's coming?
Clearly was ready for that. John King, did either one of them move the needle tonight?
Not in a significant way, I don't think. If you remember, talk about this where we come in. Hillary Clinton has a significant advantage in our electoral map. Over 300 electoral votes. We have her 307. Donald Trump in the 170s, well short of the 270 you need to win. So you think, okay, 19 days left. Did he have the biggest audience they're going to get before election day? Did he do anything to move the dial in the way he needs to move it? He needs to bend steel to change this election. He's
really delayed breaths.
Away from him in Arizona.
You grip me, soon.
At the beginning, when he was talking about judges, when he was talking about guns, when he was talking about abortion, at the top of the debate, very base to the Republicans, it is possible
You might not have my freedom.
Should I wait to take it?
I'm lagging too. Did you lag again?
No, I've gotten the debuff 3 times with brambles on me.
The reaction to essentially, I'm going to say, oh my God.
It's between you where you res too.
Yeah, hit me again.
Middle America.
Reset range. Check your puddles range.
Donald Trump.
Targus.
Sexual assault and sexual attention that was not wanted. And put a tough question to Hillary Clinton about it. He says what your husband, Bill Clinton, has done is even worse. Donald Trump attacked the women that have accused him, suggested that they were liars and put up to it by the Clinton campaign. Hillary Clinton gave a very passionate speech that was speaking to all women. All women know what it's like to be belittled like this. Completely dodged the question about Bill Clinton. Back to Trump, he's defending himself again. He's not even pointing out that Hillary Clinton, who gave this very passionate speech with this really uncomfortable asterisk there, which is, how can you say that when these allegations have been made against your husband?
Sorry, freedom. Save the puddle for Paris. We're all think that drive. Going Paris.
To then prosecute Hillary Clinton on what I thought was the first 45 minutes restrained. He was making his conservative point, but slowly she just methodically kept coming back to loan for your father, some of these other things, and a couple of the tough questions from Chris Wallace. Also, I think got under Donald Trump. You noticed in the past debate, and even the Republicans,
4 seconds.
Things that set him off, and once he gets a little prickly,
go.
Then I think it's harder for him to remember the points he was trying to make in debate. Another moment I thought that was, I'm sorry, just one last point. Another moment I thought that was
Just help this not on there. Okay, so get ready for these walls. First spear right here. And then we'll move out for these walls. Walls. It's right there, that's fine. Sorry, I was reading.
That was a very personal attack. This debate ultimately is going to hurt him.
It still drops the puddle, by the way. Like, we need to stack the puddles. Walls coming soon. Walls, good spawns, really good.
That's right, we'll find out Kellyanne Conway, Mr. Trump's campaign manager.
Nature bark me. Get like an ice drop or something.
Go to clear right away?
Yeah. Smarties.
Are you disappointed in? Are you
That's good, just get back on the boss. Walls coming. You got a spear coming.
We're pretty dry back here.
Puddles down. Walls back here.
Don't go for it, don't go for it.
I can get up as soon as these walls go by.
The failed farm policy.
You just told me that he will accept the results. Why wouldn't he say that on the debate stage?
Do you remember 2000 when Al Gore
Got the yellow on purpose?
he actually retracted his concession to George W. Bush. He had called him.
That's an extraordinary experience.
So we have extraordinary experiences, but you have to listen to everything.
Walls in two.
In fairness, he's talking about a very corrupt system. Many Americans agree with that. He's talking about a system.
Yeah, it's coming right through the boss.
We're gonna need to clear it.
That's gonna be a big puddle.
Yeah.
Inspire Within. 96% of the donations from working journalists went to Hillary Clinton.
I just want to just to put a button on this. No. I'm going to ask you another question. What you just said
What the fuck was that? Are we the really last people to the first wall?
on election night, if he's sort of waffling, you as his campaign manager will say, Mr. Trump, no matter what it is, I mean, obviously it won't be a big deal if he wins, but if he doesn't, you will say, Mr. Trump, this is what is going to happen, and you're going to accept these results.
Damn, you need a lot of stuff for that.
I actually think I'll be saying to him,
What?
congratulations, Mr.
The
President.
spear, like just inactive, it still covered like a quarter of the room. You need like a major cooldown for that shit.
All right, Dana, thanks very much. We'll see who else comes into the spin room, aptly named indeed. Gloria, David Axelrod, have you ever heard a presidential candidate say?
Watching Kellyanne walk away reminds me of a bad debate I was once involved in. And the worst thing in the world is going into a spin room and trying to persuade people that the disaster they just watched was actually a triumph. This was a disaster for Donald Trump. He started off...
But trying to HP pot when you have like the super high stacks.
Apologize to Jeffrey because I was going to say...
Did we get it clear before that last one?
And I was
yes, but it was on X.
As the debate began, it looked as if...
I didn't see it then. I had like 75 stacks just on myself.
It immediately got covered by the pull and it got walled off.
I lag spike rolled from red into the money spot here on purple. One cheat torpedo. And I spent like 20 seconds in the fight rolling into the purple wall, just lagged out.
So
and
then
it took me like another 10 seconds to like, I couldn't do this jump here for whatever reason. And the whole like half that phase I was sitting in purple.
Play that moment that everyone's talking about.
But you gotta hold our hands.
One of the prize of this country is the peaceful transition of
When did the clear come is what I'm trying to find out. 426?
that at the end of the campaign,
Killings and ground 426.
concedes to the winner. Not saying that you're necessarily going to be the loser or the winner, but that the loser concedes to the winner and that the country comes together in part for the good of the country. Are you saying you're not prepared now to commit
What
to
I'm
that
saying
principle?
is that I will tell you at the time. I'll keep you in suspense.
Well,
okay?
Chris.
And that was the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Pence.
Please don't die to the walls. There's literally nothing I can do for that mechanic for you. It's like, open your eyes and look where the walls are. You have to think about it ahead of time, not like panic move. When I say walls, like look on the sides of the map and see, okay, there's a wall there, and it's fucking Cordano 101. They're gonna intersect here, so I should go here. Simple logic. You move before, like 5 seconds before the mechanic even gets to you.
Oh, I'm freaking out if they spawn back here.
That's going to haunt him not just through this campaign, but for a long time.
Keeping you in suspense makes it sound like this is some sort of a game or reality TV show. I don't want to be kept in suspense.
Really?
And I think it's very difficult.
Are those pots okay?
Never heard ever in a presidential debate, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think any of us is old enough to have ever heard it, to say to the American public that I won't necessarily accept the result. It is stunning to me, potentially disqualifying to me, honestly.
We clearly saw two entirely different debates.
Yes,
Let me just say to you here about that I'm looking at December 13th, 2000. December 13th, not the night of the election, not the next day. Al Gore no, there is no. This is here. This is what the problem is. This is what I talk about the ruling class and the standard. There was one standard from Al Gore.
Freedom.
A month late, he took it all the way to the Supreme Court. He didn't concede. No. He did it because he feels like a privileged insider, and his pals felt like privileged insiders, and this permeates the entire system, and this is what's wrong.
That was because Florida, because there was such a narrow margin, Florida had an automatic recount, because the laws of the state of Florida called for that. And because the election was so close, don't forget, Al Gore won the popular vote by 500,000, but we won't talk about that because this is about electoral college. And because the state of Florida said automatic recount, Al Gore said yes. And then there were 36 days in which the country was very patient. And that is very different. I didn't bring it to the election.
The election was over election night. 50 states did not certify these winners, and the election was not over.
Super delayed breaths.
The election was certified in Florida. Once the court spoke and the election was certified, Al Gore stood in front of the camera. You are illustrating
the problem. It's a different problem.
It is not.
Al Gore did not go on the stage and say, I'm not so sure whether I'm going to accept the election results in his third presidential term.
He said, I no longer concede.
Florida was recounted.
This is a really bad thing. I'm just going to say this is a very
sad thing. Start looking at the clearing.
You can't polish this turn. This is, I'm sorry. You cannot, technically, you cannot polish any turn. Yes, exactly. I'm going to be very, very clear about this. Respected the Constitution, respected the process. Every voter went to our Supreme Court, asked for a resolution on his own terms, as did George W. Bush, and when the election results were certified, that he told his party and his base to stand down and accept this, even though a lot of us were very, very upset. What you just got now was the nominee of a major party for the first time in our history, signaling to the American people that he has so little faith in our institutions, he has so little faith in our people, he has so little faith in our courts, he has so little faith in the Republican governors, the Republican secretaries of state across this country, that he will not stand in front of his own country, in front of his own nation, and say that he respects the process and the outcome.
Save that puddle for tires. Smarties. Please don't touch that puddle.
From this man to sit there and say that to more than he has ever praised.
Be part of your world. First boss.
George Washington.
What? Fuck this lag.
And has demonstrated an appalling lack of patriotism. You should be ashamed of.
It was the perfect reset.
Because you're asking him to accept something that hasn't happened yet. None of us know what is going to happen on Tuesday, November 8th. And I'm going to decide for you, J. Christian Adams, who is a voting attorney from the Department of Justice, said that there are as many as 4 million dead people registered to vote right now. There is voting fraud out there.
Go, reelect, yes.
Well, 4 million people, dead people vote.
Whatever the issue is.
That is in fact fraud.
They don't vote, they're dead. You're making that up.
No, but they're listed.
Because they just died.
And we have a video, by the way, and I hope voters will
They just died. Nobody's removed them yet.
I know you
guys like to scream over me and not let me get my point out, but let me finish really quickly. There's a video out there, it just came out 2 days ago.
Your frames slowly drop, you get fucking lag spikes every so often.
Talking about busing people in to vote under many dead people's names, people who haven't showed up to vote in, voting them and taking them to different polling places in a mass voter fraud operation. There's a video of it. You can see it.
Kaylee, in my
it's
state of Pennsylvania,
it came out of their mouth.
in Jeffrey's state of Pennsylvania, we litigated this issue for a full year because the legislature passed and the governor signed into law a requirement that says you've got to show a photo ID. In a year of litigation, literally not one single case of in-person voter fraud could be documented. It's a total garbage. I'm going to say something. Let him I think that your man was having the best debate night that he had of all 3 debates.
And guess what? One line won't detract
Now I'd like to finish.
One line won't
Now I'd like to finish. With 2 glaring exceptions. The first that we're all noting here, where he just won't accept the result. He so easily could have said, but for the most unusual of circumstances, of course I'll accept the outcome. And let's not underestimate the significance of what happened at the end. He is desperately behind among college-educated females, and he looked at a college-educated female and then some and said, what a nasty woman. Explain that to me.
Yeah. Oh, really? You letting her?
It's very upsetting to my friends on the left here. I know that Donald Trump had an incredible night. He used her experience against her. He said, you've had 30 years. You talk about wanting to
just like out for 4 seconds and come back on that 5% HP and get like bonkered.
Focus on one line.
That makes
the most negative thing we can find for Donald Trump. And I know the Clinton campaign and my friends on the left want to talk about it, but Donald Trump had a great night. It was vintage Donald Trump. He talked about the issues.
He made history tonight. I agree with you.
I know that's what you want to
Do you blame me, Arvin, if I say lag?
The wrong thing to focus on?
Yes, because you never use it.
35-40 minutes of
I want to find the Warcraft logs replay, and I want to see my dot literally teleport from red into the fucking purple trap over there. Like, I just want to see what the logs look like.
I will grant you that Donald Trump had a decent 40 minutes. But then,
why is it rolling across the map?
Is a deal breaker. It is an un-American line.
When did they get through Masters Flying Serpent
Make a gif of this, it's hilarious. Here we go, falling into
it goes against our two-party system. It goes against what we believe in and what we stand for. And, you know, yes, it's a disqualifier.
I also think that he was sort of no. He was no on accepting the outcome of the election. He refuses to accept the intelligence of Russia for some reason.
Intelligence people provided the
for some reason, he refuses to accept the intelligence on Russia. He says he didn't even apologize to his wife on the women issues because it's not true. Right.
He apologized to her.
So every single thing that was laid out in front of him, he deflected or said wasn't true, or I'm just not going to accept it when it comes to the election, and then said he wouldn't apologize on the women because he never did it. So it is a Donald Trump we have seen, and the outcome of the election is clearly the sort of key and most important moment here. But on Russia also, I was sort of surprised. I know you weren't, but this has been, U.S. intelligence.
He's still going.
Well, when he said that, he was just like captive power for a while. Freedom.
So for the possibility that actually
Tree people have been burned with intelligence agencies telling the Republican president of the United States that there
He's gone.
mass destruction in Iraq. And so you'll never accept intelligence.
Gonna reset.
I'm
simply saying they're not in red lines.
we know that, but at least accept that it's a possibility.
Donald Trump is lucky to have committed supporters.
No, reset the boss.
Any circumstance will say.
There needs to be different terminology. I hear reset and I think, oh, he's just resetting his stack.
You guys have both said this every debate, and in each debate,
Want a retry the encounter?
and research that followed.
Just start speaking like
that showed he
scat. Zip zap zippity bop. You say that, I know.
Consistently since the first debate, and I have to tell you,
I think we should just stop resetting and just wipe. So there's no confusion.
No.
Just wipe.
Seems you you at all that he can do a good 40 minutes?
Well, you gotta put more enthusiasm into it. Just die.
This is the money saver, boss, dude. We've wiped like 1 billion times more, but we've used less consumables. Like minus potions, of course.
Things like that, and
Save so much food.
Does it not seem to fluster him somewhat?
No, I don't think so.
Really?
No, seriously.
Food, I got rank 3 fish or salad.
One of the moments here,
that haste?
To this here for a second.
Yeah.
That she
oh my goodness.
Was when he said, "Will you give that money back?" She refused to do it. She danced around. She danced around. What I'm saying is that goes right to the core of the argument that she is duplicitous, and that she takes this money and she, uses it for personal purposes. She doesn't care where it comes from. People who throw gays off roof and kill women. I mean, what is the matter here?
Why does it have to be today that we have to deal with lag?
What's that to say?
Wasn't her response that...
Why did it have to be that the only 2 fights for you to DK, you were gone? Nobody knows, wasn't it? Nobody knows.
Yeah. Why after 7 years does the GPU finally give out?
10% of it was actually going to charitable causes.
Or I have to call. Check this out. Look at this novel. Oh, it's all so funny.
We should really fact check that.
Channel
manager.
I heard monks don't have too much mobility.
He went into the weeds too much. He was too defensive on certain issues.
Damn, son. Dude, you over there fast.
Even my Nikes on, I was like, oh, I need to go clear those brambles.
Say that it's disqualifying, that he wants to wait.
Clearing whole rooms in 2 seconds, MBD.
The election.
I like how the twisted
to destroy
Drakes
emails under subpoena. It's not disqualifying to take.
Still have the wolf icon from Siege.
Disqualifying to tell 6 mistruths to the FBI that are actively contradicted in front of Congress.
Man, you rolled over that dead chunk or whatever that was.
How did I perfectly angle it into this death trap here? Why couldn't I have gone anywhere else except the hole in one?
The mythology is already starting to set in.
Well, I think you followed it regardless.
At the very beginning.
Right?
And here's a
there we go.
Often go on, temperament. Like we lowered the standards for the president.
What if I should just deploy that into real strats where I lag switch clear brambles?
Oh man, I used to do that in Warsaw.
Very clear. I'm gonna have to go all the way back to old school hip hop and quote LL Cool J in his first album and say he lied about the lies that he lied about.
Carried so girl, I hope you're happy.
Oh.
He says he never said.
I'm the roles who wags.
Never claimed to know who.
No, really.
Yeah, I don't believe
I know.
Like, why am I rolling 25 seconds into the fight?
Never mind saying people stack the line. So we might have great
show off mobility, of course.
but I don't think that makes it presidential. Let's keep the record clear here. And it's advantage not a month to disable person. Wait. Did you see in the same speech where he mocked the general and mocked Ted Cruz the same night? I don't know what you're talking about. Well, that's the point.
In the video.
This is the point. There is a video where he does the same thing, mocking other people who are not disabled.
Freedom.
He said, have you seen this guy? It mocked away Sturgeon peers because he has a disability. Because I think this debate, he sort of gets the most underboard, but that doesn't give him much in terms of expanding his base. I did think he was much more disciplined. He was calmer. He didn't take the bait all the time. I thought both of them were incredibly weak on jobs.
Freedom.
The anger and the pain that folks are feeling in terms of their own lives. I think Hillary basically did a laundry list. Her plan would be easy to pivot to NATO in that question. But I think it is true that he seems to lose stamina as these debates go on. He seems to sort of remember slights. I mean, in that answer where he said such a nasty woman about Hillary Clinton, I think she was talking about entitlement. Right. At some point, it was like this thing that he couldn't control. I couldn't say it. I mean, it was such an odd moment.
It's also the puppet moment, the puppet moment where they're talking about Putin, and the question was, do you condemn? And he said, of course I condemn, but it didn't continue. They were getting into it over Putin.
Freedom stars.
She called him a puppet, and he said, no, you're the puppet. And I hate to raise my children, but that's the kind of thing.
I mean, the situation, she's been the Secretary of State. President Obama, I mean, this is their policy.
It would have been more reassuring to actually condemn Vladimir Putin for the tyrant that he is, which he just, every time he gets an opportunity to do it, he instead goes to, wouldn't it be better if we had a better relationship with Russia? Well, I can't imagine our hero Ronald Reagan would be horrified.
President Obama is dealing with a tyrant in Cuba, and he's opened relationships on that same premise. Wouldn't it be better to have a better relationship with Fidel Castro in Cuba?
Jeffrey, so many of his answers, if I can say, so many of his answers tonight.
Okay, freedom starting and like 4. Get him up. Get him up. Purge.
But he just can't help himself, and the interruptions
so
truly had
fucked.
me wondering, is it 11:30 on a Saturday night? I mean, it was straight out of what you get from Alec Baldwin every single weekend with his imitation. But the big picture is this. He came in here needing a knockout. He didn't get it. So even if you want to think that he had a great night, and some aspects of it were a great night,
Passionately so.
he didn't win the night the way that he
You
did.
guys are ace supporters and spokespeople, but the question is, what about the voters he needs to add to the base that he has to win this election? Were they as impressed as you? My sense is that they will not be, and we'll see we'll see what the poll says, and we'll see in the coming days.
David, here's what I think was so important about tonight is Hillary was pressed very hard by Chris Wallace on the economy. You know, this is going to be Obama stimulus 2.0. What is different about your plan than Obama's? She didn't have an answer, and a lot of us sat back when Obama took office and said, okay, he's blaming Bush for the economy, fair enough right now. How long will this last? Hillary Clinton tonight said he inherited something bad. We are still blaming Bush. There's no new plan. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has novel ideas on NAFTA, on TPP. That moves voters whose number one issue is the economy.
And by the way, that we're seeing Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton.
I don't know that it's blaming Bush to note the fact that the quarter
They don't make a boss that actually does cause you to lag.
0.9%, and that we were losing 800,000 jobs the day he walked in the door.
Because of the seeds planted by Bill Clinton's housing policy.
He's sick boss.
So now you're mad at us for blaming Bush. You want to blame Clinton. So I just want to but I just listen. Sometimes numbers and facts. Again, I'm a little bit of a nerd, but I think numbers are sometimes helpful. George W. Bush, number of jobs created, 1.3 million. Number of jobs created under Obama, 10.6 million.
Ronald Reagan, 21 million.
Yeah, beautiful. And guess what? The great thing about that is that was a time when the Western democracies were growing. When you look at our growth rate, we keep getting beat up. Oh, you're only at between 1 and 2%, 1 and 2%. Guess what? Europe, below 1%. Japan, 0. Why? Because the Western democracies are at a point of maturation in our economies that we are actually beating our peers. So you can't admit that. So what do? You go and compare us to China and India, which are growing more but from a lower base. So again, you guys have to do funny numbers and fuzzy math. The reality is under Obama, we've been beating our competition. And our economy right now, I'll be done. Our economy right now is 10% bigger and richer than it was at the height of the post-recession peak. So these are real numbers. We don't feel it in our pocketbook, but
And another real number is that Barack Obama is about to become the first president in United States history to not attain 3.5% GDP. There are millions more in poverty, millions more on food stamps.
And he beat every other, and we beat every other country in the world who's an advanced.
You know what? I just go back to the one statistic that has stuck out to me this entire election. 60% feel the economy's rigged against them.
Yeah, sure.
Rigged is an important word in this election. Donald Trump used it tonight, and by using that word, he might have just played into that feeling that a lot of Americans feel at home, that the DAC is stacked against him, and it's unfortunate.
You know who else used that word? Bernie Sanders used that word.
He did.
And you know what? A lot of people feel that the economy is rigged, and you know what? They're right. But most people don't feel that the American system of voting is so rigged that someone who's won his party's nomination can't stick up for it. We should stick up for our democracy on the world stage every single time, and he failed to do it tonight, and it's a disgrace.
You know, when Trump was asked about the economy, this is the one area in which he has some advantage, and he's had a lot of advantage in polling. Lots of people believe he's best able to handle the economy. She was asked about it. She talked about her tax plan, et cetera, et cetera. When he was asked about it, he went to trade, started talking about trade, and never really, until the end of his answer, got back to what he would do for the American people. He started talking about her on TPP, and I think it was a huge missed opportunity for him, because it's one area where he actually does well. He could have gotten more specific with people about how he is going to help them in their personal life beyond trade. I know trade is a very big issue. I know it's really important, but taxes are a big issue and what he's going to do to improve GDP, et cetera, et cetera. So I think he wasn't focused on an answer that, on a question that could have been terrific.
You said the poll that says 16% feel the economy is rigged, and I am one who believes that the biggest single issue facing us in every mature economy is how you guarantee that people who work hard can get ahead, how you give them the best chance to get ahead in this changing economy. I think that's a real issue.
Freedom.
But if you're going to cite polls, then you have to accept the rest of what the poll says, which is that 60% don't think he has the temperament to be president, 60% on a series of measures of presidential preparedness don't feel he's qualified. So that was what he has to work on tonight. If he wants to get from point A to point B, that's what he has to do. And I reassure people.
Freedom.
Experience. That is a great line. That is a great line. And the 30-year argument is a good argument. But that is not a 90-minute debate. And given what else he said, it's sort of like that old thing about how's the play otherwise, Mrs. Lincoln, you know.
But she had a great comeback, I thought, again, to the 30-year answer, where she said in the 1970s, I was down in Arkansas, you were being sued for housing discrimination. In the 1980s, she went through decade by decade. So I thought that whole refrain, she was really ready for that answer.
I'm sure that was right on the top.
If I could just say, I think there are 535 people who are watching tonight who really now have an issue on their hands. And I'm thinking of the 100 Senate Republican candidates and 435 Republican candidates for the House of Representatives. Individuals like Pat Toomey in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania who thus far have really danced in terms of, are you for or against this guy?
Rescue freedom.
They
Soft
now
left
are
here.
going to be asked the question tonight or tomorrow. When Donald Trump is unwilling to say that he'll accept the outcome of the election, what about you?
And they're going to say, I'll say the same thing that I said when Al Gore.
I don't think so.
Alright, freedom.
One thing we haven't talked about,
Orange clear.
which is, for the first time, Donald Trump used Spanish. He spoke a Spanish word.
Alright, yeah. What's coming?
And smears
Patches.
and stereotype Latino
Back up.
immigrants and no other immigrants. He said we have some bad hombres. The only time this man has used Spanish in the entire election was used to stereotype and smear Latino immigrants.
Where's freedom when you can? Nature bark.
That's going to be another reason that the Republican Party is going to have a very difficult time being a party
This
for
is
all
where
the
we get
country.
into this politically correct.
Can you press him? Yo, Crescendo? Megan? Morgan? Are 5 Brezzers or not?
He was not talking about. Let's put context here and centering to out the words. Context. Sabine Durden lost her son at the hand of an illegal immigrant. He would still be here today.
Fires freedom. Save the puddle for fires.
Man, a bad hombre, and a bad man, a bad hombre, whatever you want to call that man.
Got your fires.
That's where context is so important. He was talking about the immigrants.
2% don't push.
They're a minority, yes, 100%. They're a small number, but nevertheless, there are people who would still be alive today had the laws been enforced. Americans have the right to life, liberty, and the freedom
6 seconds.
of everyone, and no one should die at the hands of an illegal immigrant.
No one should die at the hands.
Go.
And I tell you what, there's something
Yeah, I'll get this first square. Walls.
Walls on the
any politicized funerals. I've gone to plenty of them.
Coin's coming in like 8 seconds.
I've
She's green. Watch the brambles.
kids killed by other African-American kids.
Yeah.
I've seen Latino kids killed by other Latinos.
Get Orban up.
People killed by
Give early years. This will be your spear and Spargus swap.
you start cherry picking. And you say, well, these particular ones.
Take boss for a second, bro. Spargus freedom.
Walls.
Let's play this again, just for those who maybe didn't see it. Let's play the moment. Got a lot of coverage on.
Nature bark.
Watch me like dead. You don't have a res point with you?
No, that's fine. I'll get tricks. Just stay away from tricks. Stay away from tricks. Keep burning boss. Keep burning boss. Walls.
Politicizing someone's death, man. This is really important here. If we want to talk about picking and choosing which deaths to care about, President Obama cared about certain men who have died at the hands of police officers.
Very clear over here.
Your idea about politicizing death, I assume it applies to your own president.
Another spear.
Pretty big one. Yeah, just give. I don't have anything from.
Nah, it's gonna come in. I managed my stuff poorly there, ran out of things. I don't think you had GA up, did you, LCM? Yeah.
2 healers, you ripped?
Yeah, I managed it really badly.
You heard me when we were watching it in the green room. I was aghast at it.
I like those wall spawns too.
It's offensive to Hispanics. It's offensive to Mexicans. Bad hombres.
Oh, come on, Patty. Patty, you're an American. I'm an American. I've heard that phrase all my life. That has nothing to do with
stupid things. Shoo shoo.
This line has been an American.
Where do you hear that phrase?
I'm not gonna use my rocket belt. That way I just have a potion there.
Yeah, you had plenty of time. Now looking at the time, you had like 9 more seconds to get it off of me.
Okay, yeah, because using the belt means I won't have a potion.
I have never heard that compared to saying the N-word. Right?
Okay.
Right?
But Jeffrey, why do you think he used that phrase? Why didn't he just say bad dude? Why didn't he just say bad dude?
Because there are dudes that would be...
But why did he specifically use Spanish in that instance?
Well, what's wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with it.
So why do you think he did it, though? I mean,
Because it's colloquial, it's in the American language.
No one says that. No one says that, Jeffrey.
You don't know enough people.
Donald Trump has
Get off the mammoth.
which he used.
I'm not sure if I subscribe to your anti-packeter and propaganda.
It's not what I do. Well, tonight, Patty was very offended. And I think she has a lot more credibility than I do on that. All right. And if she's offended, I'm offended.
I can't even believe what I'm hearing. That we're living in such a high offense culture that when you call someone who killed American citizens bad hombres, and we're going to critique the language you use, two words you chose to use. This is such a high offense culture, and this is why, by the way, I want to point out really quick, this is why Donald Trump won this nomination, because Americans around this country are fed up with the high offense culture that we have.
So here's the deal. This is not about being a high offense country. I agree with you. There's some people who just chronically agree that, what you do, I've had meetings with them all the time, trust me. So I get what you're talking about. This is not that. This is something else. This is a sense that we've not yet heard them say very many positive things about the contribution of the Latino immigrant community. We have, and he does talk about it. He has nothing to say. When he talks about immigration tonight, he has a huge opportunity to try to hear from the immigrant community. He could have said, listen, we got some back. Let me tell you a little bit about the business. When we're making a difference, or making a contribution. He did like George W. Bush used to do. And then, to put the cherry on top of the awful Sunday, he then said there's some bad.
Perfect round.
Which sounds people
for whom politically correct.
No, it's offensive, Jeffrey. Period. End of story. It's offensive.
To say that in a phrase, it's good to cite the Mexican president and praise the contributions of the Mexican American community. He's done this time and time again. There are so many good immigrants in this country. But there are some very bad ones, and we never get to the root of the problem because we're all upset about the term bad on. Okay,
Freedom on top.
He was supposed to broaden his base tonight. He was supposed to expand his base.
That's coming soon.
Yes, of course. He offended Hispanics. He offended women. He offended other minorities. How did he expand his base tonight? How is he going to win the presidency?
This is exactly the point, Patty, is that you divide by race. Dan and I have famously had this conversation. Is when you divide by race like this and think of people as not Americans, but by their nationality.
What did I do to him?
To take offense.
I can't take it for a while.
Her question, and I'm not her question was more
delayed breaths.
What new groups did he reach out to and actually get tonight? Did he?
Sure. People who are sick of this nonsense. I mean, to think that this is limited to any particular group or age is crazy. They're all Americans, they're all human beings. They all have different views of it. They are individuals.
No, I'm just wondering if, like, tonight, but
Paris freedom.
Those people he's probably already got. So, everyone knew. I think that The thing is, you don't get to determine what offends you.
Got one on me.
Determine what offends you.
Determining that the whole entire Hispanic American community.
I'm only looking at
Twitter is about Twitter. That's scientific sample right there.
Well, let's watch it tomorrow. But my point is, if I say something to you that you find offensive, it's my job to listen to you and figure out in the name of civility. So we used to call it civility. See, the basis of civilization. It became politically correct only when certain other people started insisting on civil treatment. But if I tell you something and you say that offended me, it's my job in the name of civility to listen to you and try to...
Tires, freedom. Save the puddle for tires.
The problem we have right now is you got
Top of tread, please. Tires, got it.
You're the problem, not me, not my speech. Your response to my speech, it will never happen.
Or if you tell me that I might lose, it's not my fault. It's not because I failed. It's because the election was rigged. You know, it's sort of the same line of reasoning, and I don't want to change the subject.
Go.
But on the failed election issue and the question of legitimacy,
Graham,
no fan, I get it, no fan of Donald Trump tweeted that.
So I think it's walls before. I think it's walls first before the spring. Walls coming. Yep, walls.
There are members of Congress who watch this and who are up for re-election.
We're going to reset here. Oh, get the Brambles out of here. Fucking can you clear Conky? Smartest freedom.
This is where my turn needs to be.
I'll get him in a second.
There's spare. Pop him. Can we get the Brambles out of the fucking box? Walls. Nature, park me.
What's those walls?
Sorry, spread. Good.
Senate election. Throwing a Democrat out of the state Senate, giving control of the Senate to a Republican.
What's the ground?
Walls in 3.
Person's vote among many others to accomplish it. This is a Princeton professor who does this enormous study about how easy it is to hack voting machines, saying there is a problem here. Will we recognize the problem?
Is this anecdotal, or at this point, or is it a huge...
What got you, Wednesday?
There was like 3 of us stacked, and there was brambles coming in, and I went one way to hook around them, and we got hooked.
Institutions, Princeton University, saying that these elections can be stolen in a blink, in essence. We've got a huge problem. We shouldn't be trusting computers. Then, yeah, there's a problem.
Yeah, so that's what I was trying to say. Like, I can use my clear right as we go into that last phase, but there's a ton up, like 20, 30 seconds later. If we can save misers till then.
I know Patty, and I've known her since she was a young woman, and she's one of the most inspiring people I know. She has a wonderful story, and when she tells
sorry,
me
Haley's on that one. I was like kind of blocked off for a while. I didn't get a reset yet.
Whether a lot of Hispanics were
Kite the brambles out.
To her, here's a thing, but let's not talk about Hispanics, blacks. What I think Americans were offended by what Donald Trump said about not accepting the result of the election. Americans, black, white, Hispanic,
were offended
Asian.
when Al Gore did this? How many?
No, you know, Jeffrey, you rail against Washington,
David,
but you're using like political consultant answers here.
David, you
and I say that as a self-loathing political consultant.
I am not a political consultant, and you said
no, but that's nonsense.
No, it is not.
The election was not settled. There was a dispute about that. And as it was said before, if he had said tonight, look, absent some extraordinary event like a dispute, of course I'll accept the result. It didn't trouble his running mate to say it. It didn't trouble his campaign manager to say it. Why does it trouble him to say it? Why?
Jeffrey, if there's a divide when it's all over between the electoral college and the popular vote, no one will question Mr. Trump for pursuing to get to the bottom of exactly what the result was. But here we are at a stage when he's trailing by double digits in several national polls. The swing states have all shifted away from him. And at this moment, he's saying that he thinks the whole thing is rigged against him. And then he tries to conflate media bias with the rigging of an election, which are two totally separate issues. And that never falls short. Now,
here to save you. Attack the corruptors! Sacred vines, entangle the corrupted! What wickedness is this, Malfurion? I will not lose you, Shambo! Sacred lines, entangle the corrupted!
Might have sprayed him. Power spread.
Sacred vines.
Range start resetting. Sorry, made a spell. Alright, what's coming? Okay.
Let the nightmare be cleansed! Fill the sacred vines! Entangle the corrupted! Sacred vines!
Take the Dryad, Smartest.
I'm mad as shit already.
I'm coming. Save the thing for powers.
Yes.
I got you. Go. Save it for powers.
Fight noble hearts. Could it be true? Could the darkness be inside of me? Hold your weapon.
Go.
Sacred vines, entangle the corrupted.
Alright, walls, first mechanic. Good. Watch
should
walls.
use your
Look
help
right
bots
there.
here.
Watch the walls, and we're getting a reset right here. Keep the brambles out. Alright, reset and range can get the fuck out, Smarticus. Stay. Get Dollar up.
You can't. I don't know what I got in there.
Tonight, do not listen to him.
Use this puddle. Reset and blah blah. Walls.
Sacred vines, entangle the corrupted.
Extra bramble. Some minute.
Anybody?
Smarters. Yep, good. Walls coming. You got stuff for this, Pearl?
Yes.
Okay. And these walls.
Bramble and melee.
Reset stacks. Walls right here. Watch it. Ignore the wraiths. Just ignore the wraiths.
Corruptor. Sacred vines, entangle
Keep running boss. Smarters.
Could it be?
Do it! Do it!
Please.
Do it! Do it! Yeah!
Oh, the pain is over. Oh,
It's over.
it's finally over. Fuck this.
Until
Takes
next week.
my life, Wallace.
I'm
Pillage
so
me.
glad I didn't die because I fucked up my pre-pot. I was so scared.
Now, I must focus all of my strength.
Oh god, it's personal loot. Miser, this is why we use add-ons. The fuck?
At least we can trade.
This is the world first mythic
Oh,
personal
look at the
scenarios.
harvested good.
Legendary.
This is how shit of a guild we become. We have mythic scenario skills using personal
Oh, look
loot.
at all this loot, dude. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces?
Is it more actually?
That's more.
Yeah, personal loot has always been more pieces on
What's that?
average.
Hold on, wait. Hold up. Helsing, did you get that legendary? Was that your second one or good?
Say the word.
Seems good.
One,
Sorry,
2, 3, 4, 5. Well, how many coins did we get? I want to get a personal loot count.
No, we got 6, like it showed up in the feed.
Oh no, 1, 2, 3, 4. We coined 5 pieces. That's actually crazy. We have like 75% coin percentage.
We got 3 cloaks though.
So I got put in a spot where the only place I could kite brambles to like not get hit by a wall was out of range of the boss. So I just died to surrender. Like I don't know what I could have done there.
It's the best spell in the game, bro.
Make sure you loot the chest, everybody. Actually get a skill shot for this.
I think you're probably gonna let manager distro loot still.
Yeah.
Just trade it to him.
Yeah, trade me all the loot.
Oh, I auto-equipped it.
Please, Scrippa, thank you.
I may have equipped the cloak.
It goes to you sold out anyway, doesn't it?
No.
It looks tradable.
It's all tradable.
I mean, when you get it on personal loot, isn't it soulbound, but still tradable just like normal?
Right.
So it doesn't matter if you equipped it or not?
When you equip it, it becomes permanently soulbound.
I think if he doesn't have or is that not apply in mythic raids?
I'm not sure how it applies, but I'll take a
It does
screenshot.
not apply.
Okay, so it's always tradable.
No, it did not apply. I mean, it obeys that rule of the eye level thing.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, I wouldn't have been able to either.
So I can't trade.
Can you, if
Get
you
your
don't, have,
fucking
if
pen
you
out of the
have,
way.
if you have pieces you don't need, can you trade it to me, please? So I can get people loot that need it. So anybody else that doesn't need their shit. Cool. Why is there a guild bank right here? Who the fuck puts a guild bank in the screenshot? Holy shit! Are you kidding me?
We could do golf standard if you want.
I gotta zoom in now. Hang on, I'm taking your spot since that's center. Sorry.
I'll mount this dude.
Oh, we got a little tentacle over there.
Get the werebears going.
That guild bank fucks everything. Miser, you might want to move sides. In 6th spot next to Zilf.
What the hell is that Hungering Claw doing there?
Alright, that's good enough. Let's kill, we'll take a break and kill Snares. Or I don't even know.
And kill Scenarius again.
I mean, we've done normal, heroic, mythic, and it's Raid Finder, I guess.
I was so scared. Like, I blew every cooldown and fucked the pot. I was like, oh, this is it. Manager's gonna get upset.
Telling you, personal loot all the way.
Halcyon, how's that? Is that legendary any good?
Yeah. It's not too bad. I mean, Renew basically sucks, but you always want to keep it on the tank, so it's just less globals I have to spend on doing shit like that.
It has a great name. Entrancing Trousers.
And
He's wearing pants.
Dang, nice item level too. Or you want to show me that trinket?
I can't.
I need to distribute that trinket to the raid.
Here. They cannot trade soulbound.
Did you equip it or was it legit? Like
It's legit. I cannot trade it because you want to look at my trinkets right now?
Yeah, he only did 60 to 850.
I don't believe him. I need that trinket.
You're pulling a Kim Jong-il.
That too, Ankin. Either way.
Is that trinket any good, Orville?
Relatively, no, but sheer item level is probably gonna win out. Like if you have a heroic Nature's Call versus an 840 Hunger of the Pack, that Hunger of the Pack is better.
That was pretty consistent today. Snipe.
The lag just like fucked it. Like we pretty much, the lag killed our bres on the majority of bowls, whether it be me or Dello or Ankin, or just like the 4 Ankin resets and my shit, and yeah.
So I think the Drake's gotten to the below 50%.
Did they?
Because the second to last hit was a Nightmare Buffet, and they only do that when they're...
Yes. Was that at like 1%?
Well, I died, but then Spirit of Redemption held me through.
Let me look at the logs and see how long we were buffeting.
Like,
It wasn't long. I think I only got 1 hit of it. Let me look. No, 2 hits. 3 hits. 4, what the fuck?
Nightmare Buffet. It looks like you can outrange it because it was just your Parson impromptu.
Oh, the raid probably would have wiped.
That says 50 yards.
Yeah, it looks like Pyrus took 5 ticks.
And it ticks every 2 seconds. I had 74 stacks of the debuff though. That kind of sucked.
Nice.
It's like a champ.
There's no place to, after that last long reset, there's no place to reset it for me.
Even the first puddle, or like the...
It's too far, and the breast didn't line up.
Damn, really?
Damn, don't tell me.
I wish they made good-looking cloaks still.
Yeah, they haven't made a good one since Mop.
The legendaries were nice, but the ones outside of that were like, I really don't like the way they try and overly detail cloaks now.
They've been making them all these different weird patterns too, like the split ones and stuff.
They just don't match any set. Like there's no way they match anything.
Even the set ones don't match the set.
The split ones that don't split over your tail and your Arginine.
Yeah, like what the fuck?
That honestly peeves me a lot. If you're gonna make a split cloak, like, make it split.
I haven't seen a good cloak since Kata, besides the legendary one. The Kata was when they started going full retard on cloaks.
serve a greater power. Death cannot stop me. I serve a greater power. Die well.
Hail. Goodbye. Those vile Harvey Sky Witches are trying to take our most sacred of artifacts, the Skyhorn. I've sent several squads to stop them, but to no avail. Will you help? That was almost better and bloodier than I would have done. My thanks, champion.
What has the wind brought? Beware the deep places.
Greetings, traveler. Look to the skies. I have just the thing for you. Together we are High Mountain.